Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, you will learn view and the URL. So what is view and what is URL? Like here, if you go to that Google official website and here you can see there is a google.com. So this google.com that is actually the URL, and when you pass that URL, it should be redirected to Google server, and this server returned with some of the view page, which view page actually user view. Okay, so that is actually the view page, that is our Google official website view page. So in Django, that will be just like that same. Here when you pass any request, it will be redirected to one of the requests to one of the file as a url.py, and here when this request will be matched with our URL, then it should be response of the view page, and this response view page will be visible. Okay, so here we have to find out that urls.py and the views.file. So everything is already on our project. Like if you now open our project, and into the project, if you go to our fast app, so I have already created one of the application. Into the fast app, here you can see that is actually the view.py. So for every application, they have the individual some of the view file, and if you want to manage all that your view file, then you can manage it in your main project, that is our first project. And into the project, here you can see that is actually the urls.py. Okay friends, so that is by default. So here you can manage your all that view file, that the view file your user will be visible, and here you can manage your all that view file from your project, and that is our URLs. Okay, so here you have to write down your all that URLs, and with these URLs you can manage your all that view. So step by step I will show you, then it will be very much clear to you. So first of all, I want to work with the view. So if you go to that view, and here you can see by default there is a from Django shortcuts import the render. So here I want to do, first of all, here I have to import our HTTP request, whatever the request you will pass from our URL, right? So first of all, here we have to import it. Like here, if you want to import it, then you have to define as a form and then the Django. Okay, then the Django and the HTTP request. So I just simply define as HTTP, and now I import it. So I just simply import our HTTP response, all that request. So I just simply define as the HTTP response. So I just simply define our HTTP response. So as I told you friend, whatever the request you will pass from our URL. So first of all, here we have to get that response. That means our HTTP, all that response. So now I just simply import it. And after that, here I want to create one of the view. So if you want to create that view, first of all, here you have to define that one of the function. Like here I want to create one of the functions. So if you want to create any function in Python, then first of all you have to define that things with the draft. And now I name one of the function as index. Okay, so right now I just simply define that name as index. So there should be our index view function, and here into this index function area I have to get our this response request, right? So for the reasons here I want to take one of the parameter, and I just name it as a request. So whatever the name you want to put, so here that is actually look like one of the variable. So here I just simply define of the parameter as a request. And now here I want to return one of the response. So I just simply define as a returned, and I just take all the things with this HTTP response. So with this HTTP response, I want to respond some of the view page, that is the view data. So right now I want to display as a hello world. Okay, so this type of one of the things I want to respond. So now we have to visible it, right? So here we have to visible it. So for the reasons here we have to define this response in our URL. So now go to our project, that means my first project, and that is our URL. And into the URL, so there is some of the comment. So here comment, we don't need this, I just simply remove it. Okay, and here first of all we have to load our this view. That means here I have already defined one of the function as the index function in our fast app application, right? So into the fast app application, that is our view. So here first of all we have to load it. So in our URLs, that means in our fast project URLs, here we have to input it. So I just simply define as a from. So from where you want to get, I want to get that things from our fast app. So I just simply define as a fast. Okay, fast, and then underscore app. So that is our application name, and from to this application I want to input. So I want to input which page? I want to input our view, this page, right? So here I want to simply define as a views. So I just simply define as a views. Okay friends, so I hope you can well understand about it. So that is our application as a fast app application, I just simply define as a from our fast app application. I want to import our view, so that is our views. Okay, so now I want to define one of the path for this one. So here in particular that position, so that is actually the by default one of the path. So now I want to create another new path. So here I simply define as a path. So I just simply define that path. So in particular that position, first of all, I have to define our URL. So which URL you want to visible for our this page. That means here I have already defined some of the response data. So I want to display this data. So here I want to display this data, one of the specific URL. So I want to create one of the URL as the index. Okay, I just simply name it as index one of the URL. And also here after that we have to define our function. So I have already created one of the function in our view, right? Into the views I have already created one of the function, our function name as the index. So now I just simply defining it. So I just simply define as a views. Okay, into these views I just want to access our index functions. I just simply define that index function. So if you want to put that name for this URL, you can define that name. So I just simply define that name and I just name it as index. So I just simply name it as index. So now let's check this out. I want to click on the save all, and now I want to run our project. So here that is our project. So we have to go our my first project. So now if you want to go read, I think you already know about it. That is a CD, that is the change directory, and then am. Okay, am and tab, click on the enter. So right now we are appropriate our file location, and here I want to run our server. So if you want to run it, I think you already know about it. You have to define as a Python, right? Python and the manage.py and the run server. Okay, I just simply define as a run server. So now if you click on the enter, now you can see our server is now totally running. So I just simply copy it. I just copy it, and now here I have defined our URL. This will be as the index, right? So that will be our main path. So if you have that website, that will be your website name as xyz.com, and after that your domain, that will be our URL, right? So that will be a URL. So now I want to do here, I just simply paste it, and after that it will be as the index. So I just simply define as index, click on the enter. Yes, now you can see friend, now it's actually showing our this message, that in the response message as a hello world. Okay friend, I think now it should be very much clear to you. So here that will be our URL, and into the URL I just simply define our views. Into the views, that is our function as index function, and into this index function if you go to our view, that means here I have already created one of the function as the index function. Here I get that request, and with this returned our HTTP response. Here I just simply response our hello world one of the text. So now you can see when you actually access this URL as index, then it shall be display our this message, right? So if you want to change it, like here if you want to add that st1, that means here if you want to put your h1 tag, so I just simply define as h1 tag, and I want to finish it. So here I just simply finish our h1 tag. So here I just finish it. Okay, so I just simply finish it. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you refresh it again, yeah, you can see it's now becoming changed. So now here I have created one of the route as an index. So here if you want to change it, like here I just simply define as a home, click on the enter. So right now you can see it's not getting that URL, right? So if you want to display this URL, then you have to create another URL for this one. So here I have already defined all that URL, like here I defined that URL as index. So now if you want to access it with the home, like here I define that name as a home, and for the home I just simply define the same name as a views in our index function it should be called, and I just put that name as an index. So it should be needed later. I will show you why I'm actually using it. So that is our path now I have created. So now if you click as a save all, now our server is perfectly running. So now I want to access it. So now if you want to access our home, click on the enter. Yeah, you can see it's now perfectly now getting that our hello world, because of all I have already created another URL as a home, right? So also if you want to use that index right now, click on the enter. You can see you can also use it. but I didn't add any home. That means here if you click as the enter, you can see for the home I didn't define any URL. So right now I want to define another one. Better I just simply copy it, and now I take another one, and for the home I think you already know about it, so it will be as a blank. Okay, that means blank will be our main root directory. So here if you now click as a save all, so now I just simply define as a views and our index and our index, so that is our name. So I have already defined our this function. So now click on the refresh. Yes, now you can see friend, now it's also getting our home URL. So for the reasons here I have created another our URL as a home, that means our root directory, and I also created another one as a home and the index. I hope you can well understand about it, how that our URLs and how can display your all that view, all that response data. So now we successfully display all that our route, and also we display our all that view page. So here now if you want to access the index or home, yeah, everything is perfectly working. So friend, here if you want to change it, like here I have defined one of the function as a index function, and here I call it, right? So here into the views I just simply define as the index. So now if you want to change it, like here I just name it as home right now. Okay, I just name it as a home, and now if you click as a save all, it not should be work. Like here if you click as a refresh, now you can see it's not getting any data because of all in our URL. Because of all here I have created one of the function as a home function, but in our URLs here you can see our views, they have another one that is actually the index. So I didn't create any function with the index. I have created a function as a home, right? So here if you want to change it, like here I want to change it as a index to home. Now click as a save all. Now if you refresh it again, yeah, you can see it's now perfectly working. So in our next video, I want to discuss about how can create that multiple function for the multiple page. So right now they have the only one page, and for the only one view page, I have created only one function, right? So here I have created only one function as a home. So if you want to create that multiple function, and here if you want to load that multiple page, how can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So friend, don't worry, step by step we'll go more deep. So whatever the main core things you should know about Python and Django, step by step I will show you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.